Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to BVLSI lab number 4. So in this experiment, we have to estimate the propagation delay of a CMOS inverter in LT-SPICE. So first of all, some concepts. So as you can see, this is a CMOS inverter, which you see over here. We have a PMOS load and NMOS driver. Remember that the body terminal of my NMOS load is connected to VDD, and my body terminal of PMOS is connected to VDD, and the body terminal of NMOS is always connected to the ground. And here we have tied both the inputs together, both the gate terminal, and we are applying a pulse signal. Now, basically at the output, we have a C load, which is a lumped output capacitances. You remember a single MOSFET has lot many inter-electrode capacitances. So we might have CGS, CGD, then correspondingly for PMOS, we will have, CGS, CGD, and, where we have output capacitance also. So all the cumulative effect of all these capacitances, we are having it as C load. Okay, now, basically, this CMOS inverter is not used alone. It is driven, it drives another circuit also. Like it can drive another CMOS inverter. So this C load plus the input capacitance also might be considered for the calculation. So this C load is the total lumped output load capacitances, which is representing all the inter-electrode capacitances associated with the MOSFETs. Okay, now one more thing, that it depends upon ki how fast your output is charging or discharging. For example, when the input is going from 0 to 1, that is 0 to logic 1, the output will go from logic 1 to 0. Okay, so which of the transistors will be on? So basically, when the input is low, when the input is 0, your NMOS will be off and your PMOS will be on. So whenever your PMOS will be on, that will charge the capacitor. Okay, so capacitor will charge via PMOS transistor. And whenever the input is 1, your NMOS is on and your PMOS is off. So your capacitor will discharge via NMOS. Okay, so let me show that via annotations. Okay, let me pick up a line. So whenever we have input as 0, okay, so whenever input is 0, this transistor will be off, NMOS will be off, and PMOS will be on. So your charging part will be like this. Okay, so your capacitor will charge via the charge towards the VDD value. Okay, fine. Actually, the arrow will be slightly different. Okay, so the whenever the input is 0, the capacitor will charge towards VDD via PMOS load. Okay, and whenever, now let me take another color over here. Okay, and whenever the input is 1, whenever the input is 1, the capacitor will discharge via the PMOS transistor. Sorry, the NMOS driver transistor. Okay, so whenever it is input is 0, it will capacitor will charge towards VDD via via PMOS load, and whenever the input is 1, and the capacitor will discharge via the NMOS driver. Okay, so that's what it is. And uh, and this charging and discharging time will take some time. So by the time input will change from 0 to 1, the output might take some time to change from 1 to 0. Okay, because we have a lot of capacitances, and capacitances, whenever we have a capacitor, it takes some time to charge and discharge, so we will have some delay. So there are some delay definitions over here. So delay definite the propagation delay times tau PHL and tau PLH determine the input to output signal during the high to low and low to high transition of the input. Now, how is tau p HL defined as? Tau p HL is the time delay between the 50% of the transition of the rising input voltage and the 50% transition of the falling input voltage. Okay, and tau p LH will be the time delay between the V 50% transition of the falling input voltage and the 50% transition of the rising input voltage. Now, what it means in terms of the waveforms. I'll just describe it here now. In terms of waveforms, let's say we have this blue color idealized step input, but in reality, the input itself has a finite rise time and a fall time. So let's say this is VOL, this is VOH, and this is 50% of the input. Okay. So we have marked over here 50% line, we have marked VOL, we have marked VOH. Okay. So what will be the high to low propagation delay? It will be the time T naught when the input reaches 50% and time T1 when the output reaches 50%. Okay. Similarly, the tau p, I mean, whenever this happens, T1 happens, T naught happens when input is rising and it's reaching 50%. And over here, the T1 is when the output is falling, when the output is at 50%. Okay. And similarly, the low to high propagation delay will be when the input is falling and at a 50%. And over here, that is T2, and here T3 will be when the output is rising, when it is at exactly at 50% transition. Okay. So your 50%, V 50% is defined as, half of VOL plus VOH. Okay. And these are the from the waveforms, if I want to calculate tau p hl and tau p lh, it will be tau p hl will be t1 minus t naught, and tau p lh will be t3 minus t2. Okay, so these are the definitions. Fine. So the average propagation delay of the inverter will characterize the average time required for the input to propagate through the inverter. Okay, so the average propagation delay will be tau p lh plus tau p hl divided by 2. That is equation number 3. Okay, fine. So we will calculate the propagation delays this way with the help of waveforms, but using the formulas also we have to do that. Okay, so using the formulas, we have these formulas to calculate the propagation delay times. So we have the high to low propagation delay time given by this formula, equation number 1. Okay, that will be C load divided by Kn into VOH minus VT on, the whole into twice VT on upon VOH minus VT on, plus log of natural log of 4 into VOH minus VT on divided by VOH plus VOL minus 1. Okay. Now, if we have a CMOS inverter, we know that VOH is equal to VDD and VOL is equal to 0 for a CMOS inverter. So tau p HL will be modified as shown in equation number 2. So wherever we have VOH, it is replaced by VDD, and wherever we have VOL, it is replaced by 0. So here it is. And similarly, exactly on the similar lines, we have low to high propagation delay, whose formula, as you can see over here, I am not reading it out. It is equation number 3. So again, for a CMOS inverter, we substitute VOH is equal to VDD and VOL is equal to 0. So over here, we have substituted it. So only difference between formula number 2 and equation number 2 and equation number 4 is that here, instead of VTON, we have mod of VTOP, because VTOP is minus, it will be negative. So we have taken the mod of it. Fine. And yeah, that's the only difference. And instead of K, okay, there is one mistake over here. It should be KP over here, KP. Okay, small KP. So I think I have made a mistake. So it is C load divided by KP. Okay, don't make this mistake. This is KP. Let me just annotate it and write it as KP. Okay, this is KP. Okay, please don't forget to do that change. This is KP. Okay, so I hope that you all will remember this. Let me just clear out the drawings. Okay, now let me go back to the, so this is how you will calculate the low to high and high to low propagation delay. And later on you will make a table, low to high and high to low propagation delay, simulation values from the waveforms and calculated values from the equation. You will put it over here. Okay, and average propagation delay also you can calculate. Fine. Now next is we have to go ahead and calculate the rise time and fall time. So rise time, as we know, it is defined as the time required for the output voltage to rise from 10% level to 90% level, okay, of the output. And fall time is defined as the time required for the output voltage to rise to fall from actually to fall from 90% level to 10% level. So it's fall from. Okay. So here V 10% level and 90% level are defined as V 10% is VOL plus zero point 0.1 of zero point 0.1 into VOH minus VOL, and 90% is VOL plus zero point 0.9 into VOH minus VOL. So these are the definitions. Okay. Now from the waveforms, we can see very clearly that whenever the output falls from 90% voltage to 10% voltage, that is T fall. So T fall will be TB minus TA, and T rise will be whenever the output rises from 10% voltage to 90% voltage, that is that is your TD minus TC will be your rise time. Okay, so that's how you calculate it. So if once you calculate it, you have to put it, I think here also I made a mistake. This will be tau rise and tau fall. Okay, this will be tau rise and tau fall. You note it down with the simulated values from the waveform. There is no calculation required for the rise time and fall time. And now coming back to the parameters of the circuit. So you have to consider the NMOS parameters as shown. T1 will be 1 volt, WN and WP is given 8 and 2 micrometer, and KN dash is 50 microampere per volt square. Okay. Similarly for PMOS, your VTOP will be -1, and WN and WP are WP and LP is around 16 micrometer and 2 micrometer, and KP dash is 25 microampere per volt square. Again, these are the modified formula for, I mean, KN. In the formula we have KN, right? So KN will be KN dash into W by L of NMOS, and KP will be KP dash into W by L of PMOS. Okay, and we have to give the C load as the lumped capacitance as 1 picofarad, and VDD is equal to 5 volt for odd roll number, and VDD is equal to 3.3 for even roll number. Okay, and we have to give the input voltage, pulse voltage as 0 to 5, delay time as for 8 nanoseconds, rise time 5, fall time 5, on time will be 20, and period will be 60 nanoseconds respectively. Okay, so let's start building up the circuit. So I have already opened up the LT Spice and kept it ready. I'll just little bit minimize these parameters, and now let us start working. So we will take PMOS 4 and NMOS 4. So this is LT Spice. You go to LT Spice and select PMOS 4, and you paste it onto the screen. Okay, and next we will select NMOS 4. So NMOS 4 over here. So I have also added it like this. Okay, let me add it over here as NMOS 4. Let me do one thing. Let me just take some distance between them. Okay, fine. Now I have to add. Okay, fine. Before going that, sorry. Before doing that, your NPMOS has to be interchanged a little bit. Orientation has to be done. So I'll select this, and I will be orienting it differently. Okay. Basically, what happens is, this is the gate terminal. And whenever we have a gate terminal nearby that, we have a source terminal. So for a PMOS, the source terminal will be connected to VDD. That's why we have to do this orientation. Okay. So now I will connect the inputs, I mean the gate terminals together. And then we can also connect the, you know, okay, here I will have to connect the input, and then I can, just a minute. I'll connect both the drain terminals together. So these are both the drain terminals, and I'll also connect the ground. So here it is. And the ground goes over here. The supply voltage we have to connect. So we have to take a supply voltage over here and a supply voltage over here also will for the input. So this power supply voltage has to be given as 5 volt. So I'm connecting it like this quickly, and we can connect it over here like this. And remember, the sub body terminal of a PMOS will be connected to the VDD. So here it is. And the body terminal of a NMOS is tied to the ground like this. Fine. And here we have at the output, we will also connect the input over here. Fine. And at the output, we have a lumped capacitance. So let me take a capacitor over here and connect it like this, and this will go to the ground like this. Okay, so we have made the circuit. We have to give the values over here. So first of all, let me give this as 5 volt. Okay, I'm considering, let's say, 5 volts, and this will be PMOS 1. This will be NMOS 1 quickly. Okay, and here the input will be to advance and go to your pulse and find a this thing input. V initial will be 0. This will be 5. Delay time is given as 8 nanosecond. Rise time is given as 5 nano. Fall time is also given as 5 nano. On time is 20, and period is around 60 nanoseconds. Okay, so very quickly we have added that also. Now we have to add the capacitance value. So capacitance value is 1 picofarad. Okay, so we have given that 1 picofarad, that is the C load over here. Okay, and now we have to give the define the dot model statement. So we'll right click, go to draft, go to spice directive, and we'll start writing it. So dot model, we have NMOS 1, NMOS. Then the VTO, the W is given as around 8 micrometer, so 8 micro. L is given as around 2 micro, and VTO is given as 1, and KP is given as 50 micro. Okay, very quickly we have done that. And for dot model for PMOS, the parameters are, this is PMOS, W is equal to 16 micrometer, L is same as 2 micro, and your VTO is equal to -1, and your KP value was given as around 25 microampere per volt square. Okay, so very quickly I'll add the statements over here. Okay, so it's almost ready. So we just have to simulate that, and we are there with the results. So we'll click on simulate, click on run, and the stop time we have to give it around, let's say we'll give it around 50 nanoseconds. Okay, as soon as we give that, also before doing that, we have to also name label the input and output nodes. Okay, so this is V in underscore the name you can give. So this is my input, and this is my output. I have labeled it. So this is V out. Okay, and now I will go to simulate, click on run, and here I will add trace and plot V in. So this is my V in, and next I will plot the V out. Okay, so from here we know that we have given all the parameters, right? And we know from the definition key how to calculate the high to low propagation delay and low to high propagation delay. Okay, so what happens is whenever the input crosses around 50%, so here the VOH is 5 and VOL is 0. Okay, at the output you can check 50% will be at 2.5. Okay, so at 2.5 you have to note down the time. Okay, whenever the input reaches 2.5, and also whenever the output reaches 2.5, that also you have to note down. Okay, so this is the output, so output at 2.5. This time difference you have to note it down. Okay, so this might not be accurate, this is not exactly 2.5 volts. Okay, and yeah, so that's what happens. This should be exactly equal to 2.5, and uh, exactly equal to 2.5 and 2.5. It's very difficult to adjust. So, and similarly at the output side also, for low to high propagation delay. So instead, we will write few statements which will make that our life very, very simpler. So what we will do is we will right click over here, go to draft, go to spice directive, and we'll write few statements. We'll use dot measure. Okay, dot measure. We'll call it as time one. We are saving the variable at time one. So we are finding time when v of v in underscore the name is equal to 2.5. Now, why 2.5? When it reaches 50%. So this happens when the input is rising. So rising equal to 1, we can give it. Okay. And similarly, similar statements we can write over here. But here we can call it as time 2, find time when V out reaches 50%. So V out is 50% means 2.5. Okay. And similarly, your dot, dot measure, this is which time? Propagation delay time, high to low. Okay. So what will be it? Propagation delay time will be time 2 minus time 1. Okay. And that will save that. Okay. Now, similarly, we can also add over here. I'll copy this and add. I'll go to the next line. I'll add this. Similarly, this will be time 3 and time 4 uh, by falling, right? Because we are calculating low to high. Okay. So that will be time 4 minus time 3. And whenever the Vin is equal to 2.5 when the input is falling down. Okay. So I'll write here fall. So very quickly, I'll add the statement. I'll explain it once it comes. So this is my high to low propagation delay. So we are finding the time when input is falling at 50% value, that is 2.5. And here also we are finding the output when, we're finding the time when the output is rising to 50% of the value. Okay. Similarly, that will be, and we are subtracting it, time 2 minus time 1. And similarly, for the low to high propagation delay, we are calculating the time when input is falling at 50% duty cycle, 50% value, and here whenever the output is falling at 50% value. I mean, that's the definitions, right? Here you see it. Here you see it very, very clearly. That's what we have done when it is falling. Okay, and here it is when it is rising. Fine. So at 50% value. So this difference when input is rising from 50% and here till output is rising from 50% value till 50% value. That's what we are calculating. So if you simulate this, you'll get the same output, no doubt. But when you go to view and check the spice error log, you directly get this values over here, which you can see over here. Okay. So these are the values which you get for low to high and high to low propagation delay. Okay, I hope that this point is clear. Okay, this will be time. Okay, I think there is some problem. This should be time 4 minus time 3. Okay, yeah, this will be time 3 minus time 4 actually. Sorry. So here it will be, let me change that, time 3 minus time 4. Let me check that value. Okay, I guess there seems to be some. Let us check this. Time 3, time 4 when input is 2.5. Okay. I guess I have made some error over here. So according to the formula, here, okay, fine. Yeah, I've understood what's the problem. So the problem is here we are calculating input when it is rising at 50%, but at the same time, you have to calculate output which is falling. So here instead of rise, it will come fall. Okay. So this will be fall. And here the input will be rising and input will be falling and the output will be rising. So here it has to be rise. So we have to very carefully define that. So let me just open it and calculate it and call it as a rise over here. Now it will give you proper answers. I'm definitely sure of it. So you'll go to view, you go to spice error log. I think I have to simulate it once and go to view, spice error log. Yeah, these are the correct values which you get. Okay, high to low propagation delay and low to high propagation delay. Okay, and the timing has to be T4 minus T3 only, not T3 minus T4. So I will change it to T3, T4 minus T3. Fine with it? So this gives us similarly all the values properly now. That is absolutely fine now. Okay, and these are the values of propagation delay directly we are getting. Fine. Okay, and what we can do is if we want to calculate the now rise time and fall time. Now rise time and fall time definition is very much clear, that 90% to 10%, 90% of phi volt is around 4.5 and 10% is around 0.5 volt. So what we will do is we'll copy the same statements. Okay, we'll copy the same statements and we'll modify it. So I'll place it down over here. Let's say I'll place it over here, and now I'll quickly modify them. Okay, so I'll call this as, let me call it as time A and time B, and this will be fall, T fall, and let me say this is time as time C and time D. Okay, and this will be rise. So the rise time and fall time we have to determine over here. So this will be time D minus time C. We have defined it terms of variables. Okay, so here also we can write it as time A, time B minus time A. Okay, now how it is defined rise time? Find the time when V out. Here V out will only come when V out is equal to 4.5, 90% value, right? So 4.5. So when it is falling down, okay, this is fall time, right? So this will be fall equal to, and when the input is falling from 90% to 10%, right? So 10% is 0.5 of, and when again it will be coming fall. Okay, so this is happening. Now the rise time will be same over here. This will be V out, and it will be like 0.5, 10% to 90%, right? So 0.5, and here we'll have rise equal to 1, and similarly here it will be 4.5 to 90% value. Okay, and we will calculate the rise time and fall time directly. So what happens over here, your fall time is calculated when the output falls from 90% to 10% value of the output, and here the rise time is calculated from whenever the output rises from now 10% to 90% of the output value. Okay, so we'll click on run. No need to calculate from the waveforms, directly the simulation will give us the values. Okay, and click on view spice error log, and here it is. Here we have it. So this is our high to low propagation delay, which is around 2.8 nanoseconds, same as low to high propagation delay, that is 2.8 nanoseconds. That will be very obvious because the parameters are exactly symmetric. We have a symmetric CMOS inverter, and similarly your rise time and fall time will be 4.155 nanosecond and 4.157 nanoseconds. Slight difference is there. Okay, that's how we calculate it. Now, one more thing I want to show you. Let's say if I want to vary the load over here. Okay, so what I will do is I'll change the name. If I want to make it variable, let me call it as C1. Okay, let me call it as C1, and now I'll add a statement over here. Okay, not the comment but the statement, spice directive dot step param C1, where what value you want, 1 picofarad and let's say 2 picofarad in the steps of 1 picofarad. Okay, and I'll add the statement. I'll right click and check if it is proper. Yeah, it is proper. And now if I try to, I have to put it inside the curly brackets C1, and now if I run the simulation, it will give me for two particular values of, as you can see, for two values. This is for say 1 picofarad and this is for 2 picofarad, as you can see very clearly. And now the advantage of writing this dot measure statement is as follows. See, it will give you directly the propagation delay for both the cycle. I mean, for step equal to 1 and step equal to 2. Okay, for step 1, for 1 pico, 1 picofarad the propagation delay is this, and for the next, for the 2 picofarad, that is this. So directly we don't have to estimate it. Directly it will give you high to low and low to high propagation delay, and your rise time and fall time also for these values. So that's the advantage of having over here the dot measure statement. Okay, we can have n number of values, we can have one more step, and we can see over here we'll get three types. So here that's how it becomes very useful using the dot measure statement. So that's what you have to do for estimating the propagation delay. Okay, so use the formulas over here and calculate the propagation delay low to high and high to low, and match them with the simulated value. And in the next table you calculate the high time, the fall time and the rise time. And for fall time and rise time, no need to calculate the uh, you know the theoretical calculations are not required. So that's how you complete your propagation delay of a CMOS inverter experiment. I hope that you will answer the post lab questions also and attach all the print screens for your for your simulation. So that's it for this lab, and complete it on time. Okay, so next time we'll see another lab number 5. So until then, take care and have a good day.